Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I'm here with my man Nate Salley today. Very excited. What are you doing that for? You got to start the Lauderdale, baby. Lauderdale. Scoop World Order is brought to you by Raising Cane's, our new partner. Chicken tenders, fries, great people, big Ohio State ties there. Support Raising Cane's. Also, Green and Company, Green and Sons. They are one of the largest Midwest Kubota dealerships in the country. Bill Green is a member of our site. He's not the Bill Green recruiting guy, it's another Bill Green, but he will take care of you for all of your lawn and all your lawn needs. If you need a fresh new lawnmower, he's got you. So he's in Marysville. And it's going to be it's a good partnership, man. His place is awesome. He's got these big giant dinosaurs set up, so it's a good spot. So thank you, Bill Green, Green and Sons. Take care of them. Family owned and operated, good people. So got my boy Nate. I'm so excited to talk to you, man. I haven't talked to you in a while, and I was talking to you yesterday about like some guys move away, after they're in the league, they live in their league cities, so they're not back in Columbus. But how you been, my man? What's going on? What you up to?
I've been great. I can't complain, man. Yeah, it's been a while. Living just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. As you know, I got drafted to play for the Panthers in 2006, and man, after I got done playing in 2009, 2010, and I really got done in 2011 officially. We decided to go ahead and make this home, and just fell in love with the city and the area. Great place to raise a family. Cost of living is good. So much better than it is in South Florida. So we decided to go ahead and make this home, and we love it here. So yeah, it's been going well.
Too, the cost of living that's the one thing I talk about with people. When I lived in Miami, I'm gonna switch my camera real quick. So it's like a little tablet now. So
yeah,
the cost of living, man. I got drafted by the Bears. Then I was in Miami, San Francisco. It's terrible. It was like I couldn't break from the cost of living perspective, because it was always ridiculously expensive. So when I came back to Ohio, I was like, man, you can live good in Ohio for a nice house, nice community. You don't have to get private school. That's a huge deal.
That's a huge deal,
man. Well, I'm going to take you back to the old days, high school times. So you were kind of the start of the Aquinas pipeline. Because I know you mentioned Gamble. Gamble went to Dillard, right?
He went to Dillard, yeah, he did.
I don't know how many guys from Aquinas that come to Ohio State before you, but you're the guy that I knew that always repped Aquinas. And it was always funny to me because I remembered because there's the St. Thomas Aquinas in Canton, which obviously is anywhere near as proficient as when it comes to football. But it was always thought that was kind of funny. It's like, oh yeah, he went to Aquinas, but not the Aquinas in Alliance, Ohio, the one in Miami. So tell me a little bit about your decision to come up here from and leave South Florida.
Yeah, man. I just I fell in love with it when I visited. It's crazy because Ohio State, going into my senior year, they weren't even in my top 5, top 10 schools that I was looking at. I'm from South Florida, so that was when Miami was at its peak. Yeah, the U. I was a huge Florida State Seminole fan coming up, like Deion Sanders, Charlie Ward Dunn, all those guys. I was a diehard Florida State, so every time there was a wide left or a wide right, I was crying. And my big brother was a Miami fan, so he would always rub it in. So those were the schools that coming up in South Florida, you either went to Florida State, or Miami, and you didn't go anywhere. And as I was coming up in high school and starting to get more recognition, I don't know, man. As you know, I'm big on my faith, man. I prayed on it, and I was like, Lord, wherever I'm supposed to be, just put it on my heart, where the right place for me. And we were a part of Tressel's first recruiting class. So Tressel wasn't the Tressel that we all know now.
I know.
And it was a recruiter, Bill Conley, who was the tight ends coach.
Yeah.
He would come down to South Florida as much as he could and sell me the dream on what Ohio State was all about. And me, being from the city in South Florida and Fort Lauderdale, I'm thinking, Ohio, I see Ohio, Nebraska, Iowa, all as the same in my eyes, at least. It's man, I see cornfields, I'm
tractors.
That ain't cornfields. I'm a city boy. I'm not.
We don't ride Chevys on blades. We drive tractors. That's what we drive. You go pick up your girl in your tractor and then take her home. Grain alcohol.
So for me, it was like, nah, I don't see myself going there. But he kept coming, and then Tress came by the house a couple times. Coach Tucker, Mel Tucker came by, and I just knew that, like, man, this is a legit school, and they really, really want me. Like, Miami would come around, and they were right there. I probably saw Ohio State more than I saw Miami, even though they were recruiting me. I could tell I wasn't one of their top guys. So I'm like, why force myself to stay home when this place is showing me all this love and really showing me I'm one of their top choices? Let me go and at least give it a shot. So I'll come on a visit. I went on a visit, didn't go to a game, didn't go, and I love playing basketball, so they're gonna let me play football and basketball. That was kind of the agreement I had with everywhere that I was getting recruited by. I would say I'd come on a football scholarship, but I want to walk onto the basketball squad. But I didn't go to the basketball game, didn't go to a football game. I didn't go to any like amazing party like Gam and Mike Jenkins and them boys from Florida. They didn't, take me to any crazy party or anything like that, man. I got there from the moment I landed to before I left, it just felt right. Like, I didn't look at the roster to see, hey man, when can I start? I didn't look at any of that. It's just when I stepped foot in the shoe, man, I got goosebumps, and it just felt right, man. And when I got home, and growing up, I said I was a Florida State fan. I like Florida State, but for me, I always dreamed of going to North Carolina and playing basketball. And there's a long story behind that. So my room was Carolina blue. Like, my head coach at St. Thomas, George Smith, he knew that I loved North Carolina. And Ohio State was my last visit before North Carolina, before I was going to make my final decision. And, when I got home, I told my parents, I said, hey, if I don't like North Carolina better, I'm going to Ohio State. And I didn't care what anybody had to say. Like, I knew, I felt in my heart that was the place for me. And I didn't care what anybody has to say. And my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time in high school, I never forget when I first told her I was going to Ohio State, she said, you going where? Like, why? Yeah. And
I was up there, man.
Yeah, we weren't, we had a few down years. Like, that year before, we had 8-5, lost to South Carolina in the Outback Bowl. And, I was, like I said, a part of Tress's first recruiting class. And, nobody saw what was coming, that next year. No. And then to come there freshman year, with the leadership of guys like Doss and Will Allen and Donnie Nicky and Will Smith, and that junior and senior class, which was just legendary, right? To see that and to play my home team, where everybody told me I should go. People thought I was stupid for going to Ohio State. And for us to win that championship, and that really just set the tone and was the momentum that it has still carried on for us to this day. We haven't looked back since that moment. And I just, I'm just so grateful, man, that I chose Ohio State. And honestly, that they took such a, serious look at me, because I wasn't trying to go there. But they kept coming at me man, come. And I don't know, man, it's just a lot of things that just lined up, perfectly, man. I can't even take credit for it, man. I just wound up in a great situation. And to be a part of a recruiting class with guys like, Santonio Holmes, Maurice Claret, Nick Mango, AJ, Bobby, I don't know, man. It's I look back at that now, and it's I just appreciate it that much more, man, seeing what guys have done since then, and the men that we've all become. And, it just means a lot, man. I love it.
Dude, I'll tell you, for Bill Conley to come down there and see you, when he dyes that hair that black and it's that hot in South Florida, and he got that black dye running down the back of his neck, you know that you're an A1A guy, because he's coming down there. As soon as he gets off that planet, that humidity, that jet black hair dye is just dripping all the way down his neck bone. Only wear black polos, man. Because he wore white polos, he's got that dial on his neck. You ain't gonna get into quite a dye on your neck. So.
And
that means you had a lot, my man.
Yeah, man. But he had quite a few misses. There were a few guys that were juniors and juniors and seniors ahead of me that had almost went to Ohio State. I never forget this guy named Tony Brown, who was a wide receiver. He made the decision last second to go to Tennessee instead of Ohio State. The guy named Jim O'Fagan did the same thing, went to Tennessee. And then when I decided to go, they said, we knew he was going to get somebody. He finally got somebody to come to Ohio State. And as you mentioned, man, I did it. And then, we have the Bosa brothers end up going, and we have a good line of, talent from St. Thomas that's going to Ohio State, man. And, I'm just honored that I, felt that thing on the inside, man, and had the courage to take that leap when I did, man.
Lauderdale forever, man. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, the guys we pull from, like we got you in San Antonio. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know, I mean, I know he's from Belgrade, but it's like, yeah, it's like we got some guys out South Florida. It's like, what was the U doing? And like, you're right. When I grew up in Naples, and I'm only a year younger than you, and like Florida State was in the top like 5 for like 12 straight years. Like, I mean, they were like, they were the deal down there. And Florida State was nasty. You know, Miami was in probation like in the late 90s before Bush got it going again. But FSU was like, I mean, they were like how like Clemson is now. They're the bee's knees. Everybody's like, oh yeah, they got the swag, and they were just monsters, you know. And it's like, so I get it. I get the FSU thing. My wife actually went to Florida State, and I was like, I was telling everybody, I was like, what happened to you guys? Like, you guys suck now. It's terrible. It's like a 1AA team now, you know. But it's just crazy. And I tell our fan base, I'm like, guys, look, like, you know, I know everything in life is cyclical, like especially in sports. You know, and you look at who's garbage now. Because, like, when we played in, like, 05, 06, like, Clemson was never, like, nobody cared about Clemson. Nobody cared about Bama. Like, Bama, I mean, Nick Saban in 07, I mean, he lost to, like, Louisiana Monroe or Louisiana Lafayette at home his first year. So it's like, you know, but Ohio State, like, since like you said, like, 02 on, we've been pretty good. You know, like, Michigan's kind of hit the skids when they had Rich Rod and you know, USC's dipped a little bit. Like the teams that were nasty when we played, like Texas, who beat us in 05, they've fallen on hard times. They're not a powerhouse anymore, and they haven't been. So it's being recession proof is amazing. But our fans can get spoiled sometimes, and they don't realize that. I'm like guys, like, you know, the youth.
This is normal. This is how it always goes.
The Gators lost to Georgia Southern at home. Like, I mean, you know, everybody. You know, it's just, you know, and I say it's in every sport. Basketball, like the Lakers are the team now. They were terrible. They were drafted Lonzo Ball #2 a couple years ago. It's like, you know, so it's like, I mean, guys, really like the only recession-proof program. But okay, so you get up here. Talk to me, like, who were your guys in your freshman class? Because, you know, there's always like, you get up here, you guys are all kind of like a clump. You know, when you're a freshman class, you guys all come together. Who were the guys in your class that you really bonded with and kept with? And I can say them, but I'll let you say them. I can guess some of the names. But it's like, you know, like who are the guys that you're like, all right, these are, you know, especially for that first year when you really get to know the guys, like, these are my guys for like life. Who are your guys? Yeah,
man. So it was definitely, obviously, San Antonio. Like, we were right there from South Florida, came in together. High school basketball team, they beat us and knocked us out of the playoffs. So I had to hear that every year. But just being from, you know, basically within an hour from each other from South Florida, man, we had to, you know, do that. So we were roommates for 2 years, and it's still like my brother. So San Antonio was definitely one. Troy Smith was the one. You know, Roy Hall, AJ obviously was a big one. Obviously, all my guys, Bobby, all my guys on the defense, man, like, we're like, those are our guys. I'm trying to think anyone else who came in with us. I know I'm missing some. Nick Mango, everybody, man. We were just like, honestly, like, when we were there at school, it was just like a bond, man. Like, and when we all came in together, like, and obviously I think the leadership of the Dosses and the Donnie Nickies and Will Allens, as I mentioned before, and all those guys, like, having them to kind of set the tone for us, like, really showed us what it was all about. And then, you know, for us, and even Maurice Claret too, like, he was like a brother. All of us, man, we just were in and really tight from day one. Like, all of us were really tight. So it was just really cool to have that. And you know how it is when we get recruited, and, you know, you're looking at some people like, man, where you going to school, and y'all connect, and y'all decide to make that decision. Like, man, let's turn this thing around, man. Let's make a difference. Like, let's set a major tone here. And we obviously we could not have imagined that we would have the success that we had, man, but we always believed we could. You know what I mean? That's I think all of us, if I'm not mistaken, man, all of us came from like winning situations or just had that mentality. And I think that's one of the key differentiators between schools like Ohio State and other schools, you know, that may not win the big game a lot or may not get there often, is, you know, we go into every game thinking I'm going to win. And like every person that came into that recruiting class was like, I can start today. You know what I mean? That's the mentality we all had. Was like we had that dog mentality. Like, man, I'm coming here to make a difference and make a name for my family and make a name here at Ohio State. And I think every one of us came in with that mentality. And I think most of us did it in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? And it was really cool to see that, man, and to see, like I said before, how that has led to the tradition, which has already been there, but just we kind of took it to a whole different level, man. And you see things change from that senior class, man. Dawson, those guys, man, like that class really set a tone that I hope we never look back at, man. And we've gone through different coaches, and usually like you see different coaches and all that, and things change a lot. But that culture, man, that mentality of, hey, like we're a top 5. And we believe we're #1 program in the country every year. Like, it's not a game that we'll go into where we feel like we're an underdog. And I think that's more than half the battle, not only in ball, but in life, man. Like, I take that into my everyday life, too. It's like, I don't see myself as second fiddle to anybody. Like, nobody's going to outwork me. Nobody's going to have, that mentality. And I feel like that's something that can separate us in everything that we do. And I feel like, that's something that our class shared, man. I always have that bond and love those guys, man. And even though some of us don't talk all the time, it's like the moment you get on the phone, like Slagle hit me up out of nowhere. Like the first time in like 5 years, I was on the road, man. We talked like an hour. You know what I mean? It's like we just reminisce and have great memories and in those moments, man. So it's a brotherhood, like seriously a brotherhood for the rest of your life once you're in there together, man.
Yeah, and I tell people you learn more about yourself running half gassers or 6 a.m. workouts or like some of the miserable stuff. Like I used to always run the gassers at like noon when it was like the hottest. I know, a lot of the guys worked out at 6 a.m. because they were like more dedicated, but I was like, I like running it when it was the hardest, like at noon. Like, plus you get a little breakfast in your stomach and you go hit it, and it's like, I like training in the heat because man, ain't nothing like the heat. Like, when you're out there in football, man, you better be ready for that heat. So heat sucks. That's awesome. So your freshman year. Let's talk about 02, man, because that was magical. So you guys, I think Tress was like 7-5 his first year, like 2001.
I think it was 8-5.
8-5, yeah. I mean,
off the South Carolina. Yeah,
you're getting fired. You're getting fired at Ohio State if you lose 5. I was there in 11 as a grad assistant, and Luke lost 7, and it was like, oh my god, like now it's like we lose 1, the world's over. So it's so funny how people's expectations change. But you guys show up.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit, you get to camp, and it's so different now because, like, guys, a lot of guys enroll early, but everybody comes in June now. Yeah. Like back in the day, like when me and you played, like my first day was August 5th.
Yeah.
Jim Bowman didn't even tell me we had a conditioning test. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's like, Tressel reads his little poem about the cheetahs and the antelopes and
the lion and the gazelle and when you wake up, you better be running that whole deal.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I get up at 6 a.m. or whatever it was the next day, and like, I don't even have shoes to run this in. Like, I have like my tennis shoes that I wore, and like, I asked Rob, I was like, Rob, can I get like a pair of turf shoes or something? Like, my first test we ran on that lacrosse field, like that AstroTurf.
Yep.
I'm sure you do, because like my teammates all died. We had a guy poop himself, which wasn't good.
I remember that.
But like most of us didn't know. Like, I ran all summer, and I actually killed the test. I did great because I was light, and I'd been running all summer. Because I was, when you first show up, man, the one thing you want to be is in shape. Like, you don't want to be the guy that shows up who's not in shape, because that's. But I didn't even know we had a test. So tell me about your first couple of days in the program. You show up on like August 5th or whatever. You're like fresh from Lauderdale, and you're like, wow, this is not Lauderdale anymore. No ocean nowhere, and you got your little. You probably had like your little Lauderdale bag, and you show up to that crappy hotel, and you're like, man, this place sucks. And, and then you see all these guys, like you see Doss and Nikki and all these seniors that are they came back, instead of going pro. Tell me about like your first couple of days acclimating to Ohio and the culture, and because it's so radical. Because like now, like it's going to be like this NFL season. Like these NFL guys are going to show up for day 1 of training camp. It's not like they don't have like rookie mini camp and OTAs and then full team mini camp, and now it's going to be like college. Like you just show up day 1, it's time to ball. Like
dive right in.
You don't play because you're going to die.
No, it was awesome, man. It was like the perfect mixture, like, of excitement, nerves, like being terrified, like all that.
Absolutely.
Like,
Nerves is really terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Like, it was all of those emotions wrapped up in one, man. And it's funny because, like, I know, like, as I embark on, like, and I grow in life, man, and experience different things, it's like, that's what we have to continue to put ourselves in. Like, in those moments where it's like, I'm terrified. Like, I don't even know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to dive in and do it anyway. And I think a lot of times, man, we mess up because we shy away from those moments in real life. Like, we'll dive in as a football player and want every challenge in the world and, you know, be willing to run a gasser and poop myself or do whatever it is, right? We're willing to make ourselves look like a fool in front of millions of people for our dream. And then we get out of ball and it's tough to find that thing that gives us that same drive. But to answer your question, man, like, it was just like a very exciting and terrifying time all at the same time. And it's like, I'm really, like, on my own. Like, I've been in Fort Lauderdale, Florida my entire life. Like, when I said bye to my parents when they walked me to my gate, you know, and that was it. Like, my life will never be the same. You know what I mean? Life will never be the same. And it was, like I said, it was very exciting. And I think it was almost a good thing that I did not know a lot about Ohio State. Like, I didn't know a ton about the players, the things they had done. So I wasn't, like, starstruck. You know what I mean? So I was able to really just come in, be comfortable, be myself, and not be like, oh, man, that's Mike Dawes. Oh, that's, you know, Mike Jenkins. Like, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just like, man, let's go out here and ball. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget, man, the first couple weeks of camp, it was like me, Brandon Mitchell, who we all came in together, Troy Smith, and maybe Santonio. We were in that hotel right across from the Woody that we stayed in for camp. I think it was the Larkin or whatever it's called. But
wait, did you guys stay at the Fawcett Center?
We're at the Fawcett, the hotel, right?
I guess you guys weren't at University Plaza. That was like the next year.
That was the next year. Yeah, we were right across the street. So we were there, and we're in a room, man. I'll never forget, man. We're just, you know, chopping it up, talking smack to each other, and Troy, out of nowhere, man, just says, "Man, you're gonna be a captain." Like, it's like out of nowhere, man. It's like, I don't know, like moments like that, especially like as I get into like doing what I'm doing now, like speaking and coaching and really like using my story, my life to help inspire and motivate others. It's like moments like that always stand out. It's like, man, this man was a future Heisman Trophy winner. And like people have always, even in my neighborhood, even playing ball, like saw things in me for whatever reason in those moments. Man, I never forget that conversation. We're just sitting there talking smack, man. He's just like, man, you're gonna be a captain one day. And then for that to obviously happen, man, senior year, and pretty much unanimously voted with, you know, AJ and Nick and Rob Sims, man. And I don't know, just moments like that always, you know, give me even more courage as I'm going out and trying to do more terrifying things and things that make me nervous and things that I feel like I'm not who I'm supposed to be. You know, that's one thing that stood out. But yeah, those are just great moments. It was exciting, man. Just exciting, like thinking about what the future could hold, man. And it's no way. It's so cool that we don't know what the future holds, right? Because no one like knew that we were about to have the most epic season like Ohio State history. Like no one could draw that up, man. Like we almost lost every game that year, pretty much.
Yes.
And ended up beating the best team, like one of the best teams ever assembled. You know, the national championship day. It just was a crazy, amazing experience, man. All wrapped in one, man. Yeah.
Right. It was funny because I was a senior that year and I was getting recruited, so I was at almost every home game just because it's like a 2-hour drive, and you know it'd be like if you got, you know, tickets to go to all the games at like the U and like your all your family are like U fans, like it's like your brother or like whatever. It's like, you know, you can take them. It's like you have season tickets for free, and I'm like, you might as well go down and check it out. And obviously, like for me, it's different when you're from Ohio because we don't have like Florida State, Florida, and the U. We just have Ohio State. And that's nothing close to it. So, you know, that was like my dream school. They didn't offer me until like December, which I still hold against them. You get petty, but
man, it's that chip, man. You made it.
The chip's real, man. I like the chip, man. The chip's good. But the funny thing is like, I remember when I met you, I was like, man, this guy's great. You know, and like, I always tell people, I was like, if you don't like Nate Salley, this is more about you than it does Nate. Because Nate's like, if you don't like Nate, man, I was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. And then you're just an idiot, you know? So, but yeah,
I appreciate that, man.
Okay, so your first year, what'd you play? Were you on teams like on kickoff coverage and punt and all that?
Kickoff coverage, and then I was kind of a tweener. Like they were trying to figure out whether I was going to be a corner or a safety, and I wasn't like fast enough to be like a legit corner in college, but I loved to hit. So I was a banger.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would be like, I was kind of like the backup corner, like emergency corner and a backup safety if anything ever happened to, you know, Donnie and Dawson.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was kind of the situation. But mostly, as you know, special teams was the big thing. I think it was me, as far as DBs, Tyler Everett and myself. We didn't red shirt, so we were the ones that had to stay ready. And we both were kind of like tweeners, like we could play a little corner, play a little safety, but yeah, I like to bang, so that they ended up putting me at safety because I like to hit folks, man.
I love that. That's the best, man. So then we get to 03, and we got Will.
Yep.
And you and B. Mitch were like the other safety, correct? So you guys were kind of battling for it from the jump. So tell me about that. Did you know, by the end of the year, you were the guy, though, right? I mean, you kind of took over for B. Mitch. It was you and Will. So tell me a little bit about that year, because that was like a really weird year, because it was my freshman year. We had like 20 starters back, but we lost Reese, and we had all the Reese stuff like during camp. Like, are we going to have him? Is he going to get suspended? And Reese is #1, and but like losing Reese that's a big loss. I mean, that's like losing Emmitt Smith off the Cowboys or something. This is different. So tell me a little bit about that year, because like we never. Like we ended up beating Kansas State, we lost to Michigan, lost to Wisconsin, but we never just really like clicked that year. It was just weird because like we didn't have that factor back. Down by Slidell, but he's not Maurice. So tell me a little bit about 03.
Yeah, 03 was an interesting year, man, and as far as the entire season, as you mentioned, man, it was just we definitely miss Reese, man. Like, if you think about even that freshman year, like, you take Reese off the team in offense, and you take Chris Gamble in the plays he made, like, we don't have that year. You know what I mean? It's like they were, like, so pivotal, like, in certain moments. You know what I mean? You'd have, like, a play from Mike Jenkins, or Crimson would throw an amazing pass or something like. But those two guys were ones that you can count on every week. Like, they were going to make a game-changing play. So for us, that year, first off, was the year that made me understand, like, and hate Michigan. Like, so first and foremost, let's get to that. That's the year that made me really hate Michigan, because, we still had a chance to go to the national championship. If we beat Michigan, we go to the national title minus Maurice Claret. Like, and we go up there and we lay an egg, man, and play, like, arguably our worst game ever. For me personally, it was probably my best game in an Ohio State uniform that year. When we played Michigan, is my best and worst game I probably ever played as a Buckeye. I had some of my biggest plays, biggest hits in that game, but at the same time, I missed some of my biggest plays in that game, and I still remember vividly in my mind. But that season, man, it was exciting again, because it's like, all right, Dawson, Donnie are gone. And it was like basically me, Ty, and B. Mitch, like, kind of looking at each other like, hey, man. But it was funny. It was like a great competition, though. Like, none of us tried to, like, undercut each other or talk bad about one another, or, like, we were always supportive of one another throughout the entire process. And it was pretty much like, hey, man, like, we're going to go out here and give it our all. Whoever wins the job wins it, and I got your back. And that was kind of the mentality we had, man. And it pretty much came down to B. Mitch and I, up until it was a game we played against Washington, man, and up until that point, like, I was uptight because, like, man, I got this position. I want to start. I can be a starter at Ohio State. At Ohio State University.
As a sophomore too.
As a sophomore, and I'm like, so I think I was, gripping the bat too tight, man, and I would make stupid mistakes, and then Coach Tucker pulled me, and I forget what he said to me, but ultimately, I just left that meeting like, man, I'm just about to play ball. I do this. Like, I know how to play ball. Just go out and have fun and let whatever happens, happens. And, man, we played in the Washington game, and I'll never forget, like, that was still a game where B. Mitch and I were kind of rotating in and out. And there was one play, man, the ball went up in the air. Wide receiver, I forget his name, was on the sideline. I blasted him, man. And I knocked myself out and everything. I just never forget the shoe going crazy. And like feeling that energy, man, and I feel like that moment, that hit in that game was the one that stamped me as the starter for the rest of that season. And then, to be right alongside my big brother, Will Allen, man, and to be able to start alongside him that entire year was just an amazing experience. So, obviously that was great, man. And then, like I said, going up until the end of that year, playing Michigan and playing horribly, but still only losing. I think we lost by a touchdown, man. And to hear Braylon talking trash and Chris Perry, and it's like, I still, irks me, man, thinking about that. But at that point, that's when I realized how real that rivalry was between Ohio State and Michigan, because, being from Florida, it was Florida State, Miami, Florida State, Florida. Like, those rivalries were the ones that meant the most to me. But at that point, like, even to this day, I see a Michigan tag on the road. It's like, I get, like, fired up. It's like, I do not like Michigan. Like, so, because they won that game, and I feel like they felt like they were better than they were in my eyes. Like, we were the better team by far in my eyes. We played the worst game possible and still came like a play or two away from winning. And, so that's kind of how I feel about that whole situation.
It sucks, man. I remember, did you flex after that hit against Washington? I think you flexed.
I may have.
Did like this. Like, you're out of your mind.
I've done that a couple times.
I remember. I actually remember that hit. I was like, yeah, because that was Jack Tatum. Of course, now we're so soft that we don't give out the Jack Tatum hit because of CTE. But I was like, back then we didn't care about CTE. We're about lighting dudes up. Won that a bunch of times. So let's go to 2004.
Yeah.
We beat Kansas State. You're locked in as a starter in 2004. Obviously, we have the quarterback competition.
Yeah.
And plus we're boo-boo. We suck. And we played good teams. Like, I mean, I told people, I was like, look, like, we barely beat Marshall.
Yeah.
We beat Cincinnati. We go to NC State, and like NC State, like, they never were like good as a team. But I mean, dude, they had 3 first-round D linemen in the same draft, which never happened. Instead, Mario, Manny Lawson, Tank Tyler, John McCargo. I was like, Jesus God, like. We win that game by a miracle. Yeah. Nugent hits 5 field goals. Yeah. And we score. And we were just terrible on offense. I mean, we were if I was on defense, I wouldn't even come out of the locker and be like, until you guys get your back together, man, we ain't even believe that. We're just going to go sit here.
That was a rough year.
Yeah, I'd just be like, offense, you guys got to go score on air at least 2 times in a row. Before we're gonna come out, just prove that you can score on air, not even against the defense.
Hey, so, you're an offensive guy, so you can get away with saying it. I won't comment on anything.
No, I know. You guys are classy. I get it. Like, I mean, but I call a spade a spade. We sucked. And I was kind of in the spot you were there before, because I was trying to win the right tackle job. I was rotating with Tim Schaefer, which is painful. But so then we play. We're 3-0, and we play Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin had a bunch of the guys back that beat us the year before. Like, they had Antosh Hawthorne and the same quarterback. And, we've got, like, a bunch of young kids because we lost, like, 20 starters. Or not 20 starters. We lost a lot of veterans. Like, that was a big senior class that we lost. It was the most drafted guys ever. We had 14 guys drafted.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, we lose to Wisconsin. And it's funny because that was the first game I got burned, like a lot of burn, because they had a guy named Erasmus James who was unbelievable. Yeah. And, you get thrown in that spot because he was destroying Shafe. It was bad. Yeah. And they put me in, and I'm like a redshirt freshman going against this guy. And, like, I'm just, like, playing basketball, like, no technique, just trying to push him by. And he was so good. And then, we got on a 3-game losing streak. Talk a little bit about that. Like, I mean, the bottom fell out at Iowa. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, my goodness, man.
Earlier that week, that was the first time I ever did. It was like really the last time for a year I did interviews, because they asked me, like, well, what do you think about the quarterback situation? I was like, well, we've got 2 great quarterbacks. Like, I was like, Justin's good, but Troy's good. I was like, they're both at the Elite 11. Like, when you have 2 good running backs in both plays, like, I think they should both play. Yeah. Which turned into Troy Smith should start. Just like, that's how they reported it. And I was like, I remember I went in that locker room, man, and like guys wanted to kill me. And it was funny because like I'm not gonna get flirted, but I was like, all the white guys were mad at me.
Yeah,
all the black people like loved me.
Yeah.
They're like, you're crazy. Like, we love your ass. And they're like, man, you said Troy should start? And I was like, I didn't really say that. I said that she wasn't playing, but I mean, but like all the black dudes like, man, you're out of your mind. We love you, man. So none of the white guys talked to me for a week. All the black guys like, that's crazy. I love them. So, I was like, I said, I never cared. Cause all I cared about was winning. Like, I don't give a shit if you're purple or green. Like, if you can throw the ball and make plays, man, come on in. Like, I don't care. I've never cared. I like winning. I hate losing. Yeah. It's like, if I want to play with a bunch of white guys, I'd have the slowest, worst team in the history of mankind. Like, give me Santonio and Teddy and Troy and Pitt. And I was like, and we'll just go to war and crush people. But tell me a little bit about the middle of that year, man. We're sitting there 3-3, 2 years removed from winning the title. What was it like then? Because I like hearing about people in the bad times, the dark times.
Yeah, man. As you mentioned, man, I think that's something that definitely builds, the character that you need to sustain. What we've been able to sustain as a school, as a powerhouse, in the past decade or so. And man, that was a challenging moment because we go from winning a national title. So as a freshman, you automatically are thinking, man, we're going to win at least 1 or 2 more. So that's your mentality. Like, you don't expect to lose anything. And as I mentioned before, like when you come to Ohio State, in the group we had, it's like we don't expect to lose any game. So, so then to go to next year, obviously Wisconsin gives us our first loss. They always have just been a tough team to beat. Like, no matter how good or bad they are, when they play us, it's always been a challenging game. Them and Penn State and Iowa, like those three, you can erase the record. No matter what it is, like it's going to be a battle. So
and honestly, Purdue
too, yeah.
Purdue,
They'll be like 1-9. They'll be like 1-9 and play their 11th game against us like lights out.
I mean, 2003 they lost to Bowling Green at home, and they almost beat us in the shoe.
Yeah,
and they lost to Bowling Green.
Yeah,
So no, but continue on, my man.
Nah, man. But that year, the one thing that stands out to me about that year and that 3. The 3 losses in a row, man. Not only just 3 losses, but 3 losses in a row was, seeing Tressel keep his composure through it all. Like that was something that stood out to me. He had one day where he got pissed off, and he may have said the first time I ever heard him use profanity, maybe once ever, and he just was fired up in one meeting, and you can almost tell it still was uncomfortable for him. He was just so mad. But seeing him keep his cool, like. That's one thing I love to see in leaders, man, is like, how do you respond when it hits the fan, right? And he was just still Tress. Like, he still was that great guy. Obviously, he was fiery. He was, he wanted us to get a win, but he was still the same guy. And I love to see that. But it really made me fall in love with our fans, man. Like, I didn't understand, because I said I'm not from Ohio, so I didn't know, like, the loyalty. I've been there through undefeated year and a 2-loss season where we easily could have been champions again. So, like, you understand it's easy for people to root for that, right? But and coming up in high school, I never lost more than 1 game in high school in a season, right? So I wasn't accustomed to that. Like, we lost 3 games in a row. I lost 5 games my prior 5 years of my life. So it was unreal. But like, I'll never forget, I think it was after we lost to Iowa. We were walking off the field at Iowa, and I heard like fans say, "I don't care about these. Just beat Michigan. As long as you beat Michigan." Like, and I don't know, it just made me realize, and they still showed up. Sold out every game. We still took over away stadiums. Like, they didn't care. Like, they're ride or die. Like, for Ohio State, that's Buckeyes.
I will say that Indiana Skull session the week after Iowa was a little sparsely populated. I will say that. I think there might have been 7 people. People walking St. John's, like, tell everybody. It's like, they got no one's up top, lower level. Like,
let's bring in the speakers for the crowd noise. Hey, we deserved it. At that point, we deserved it. But all in all, man, like, I think my biggest takeaway was Tressel's demeanor through it all. Like, that's what I love to see in a leader, and that's what I strive to be as a leader. And then our fan base and understanding, like, the loyalty that's there, like, that made it clear to me, like, we have the best fans in the world. Like, no other school Like they may be as good. No other school that has better fans than us, man, and better support than we do. And that just made me want to go out and play even harder. Like not only just for Coach Tress and our team, but for our fan base and the people that are there, like, you know, fighting for us every day and talking smack to their friends and whatever. Like we want to give them something to be proud of and put a product out on the field that they can be proud of, man. So honestly, that was my biggest takeaway that season was, man, we have the best fans in the world. Like I love these brothers. Like, and I'll run through a brick wall for Tressel. I'll run through a brick wall for our fans, and that's kind of what I took away from that.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to Michigan that year because we're at home. We're like probably 2 touchdown underdogs at home, which sucked. Get ready to go to the Rose Bowl, and we're getting ready to go to the Alamo Bowl, which we have to play. Like we have to miss Christmas with our families and be in a hotel on the Riverwalk. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I remember coming to that game. Obviously, no one picked us to win. Everyone picked us to lose. We show up. I remember like I'm sitting up front right before we go out. Thomas Matthews gives this big speech.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, Thomas. I was like, I wish I had that kind of energy because like Thomas only got to run down on like 4 kickoffs a game, so he can like go just crazy with it. He did like bust into the white meat, and I was like, I don't even know what that means. That sounds cool. Thomas is going crazy. We get out there.
He's another Lauderdale guy, man. That's family.
Thomas is the man, dude. That's a Lauderdale boy. He gave this like speech. I was like, damn, dude. I was like, I wish I had that kind of energy. But it was great. So we start off, and that was a game. It's funny because I actually remember 2 of your, because you hit Boss, didn't you? The big center on the screen pass. Did you hit David Boss?
Yeah.
See, like I actually remember 2 of your hits. That's how hard you hit a guy. I was like, because David Boss was the Remington winner that year, the center, and he's out there like lumbering. And Mike Hart still won for like 75 yards, but you did kill the center in front of it. So it's like, at least you like got a big hit out of it. Because everyone's like, oh, that's Jack Tater's like, yeah, you can't do it on an explosive gain. But like you kill the center and like, but let's talk a little bit about that game because that was kind of like our whole season sucked, but then we win that one, which is like, the Troy Smith spectacular. Because Troy was like, hey, you talked about Maurice and Gamble. Yeah. Troy was like that. I mean, he was that dude showed up, man, and it's like it was game over. So talk a little bit about that one and our offense finally not sucking. Yeah. We actually scored points. We scored 37, so that was enough to win. So talk a little bit about that one.
No, that was a special one to me, man, primarily because of how the season went prior to that, leading up to that. Hearing, that support from the fan base as well. You just got to beat Michigan and always kind of understanding that. But more importantly, like, I'm a competitor. Like, so seeing them with those roses in their mouth.
That was the worst.
At the big house, whatever you want to call it, like at their place. Like that, I still don't forget that. Like, that still bothers me. So, like, if I didn't play well or play hard in any other game that year, I was going to bring it that day. Like, so, and Brayton was still in the media talking smack and, and that was the first time I'd ever missed games that year too. So like the prior 2 games before that, I had my neck issue where I was getting these horrible stingers that I got in the Penn State game. So I ended up missing Purdue and missing Michigan State leading up to that game. It's like, there's no way I'm missing this game. So I'm out there with a neck roll on as a safety, like looking all, scrubbish, man. But that game, I'll never forget, like, all of us who experienced that loss the year before was like, I don't care what happens. We're not losing this game. Like, we're not losing this game. There's nowhere we're letting Michigan walk out of here with a win and then let them go back to the Rose Bowl and lay an egg again and make the Big Ten look bad. Like, we're not doing that. Like, that was kind of the mentality we had, man. And, on that play, it's crazy. Like, you got to be a little crazy to play football. So for me, like, I literally 2 weeks ago couldn't even lift my left arm up because I was having stingers. And I'm like, I'm playing this game. I had my neck roll on. And, sometimes, as you know, man, you black out. It's like, man, I'm just going for it. I saw Mike Hart, running on this screenplay. And the boss is coming up in front of him. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get to Mike. So in my mind, this guy's 300 plus pounds running, full go. In my mind, I'm like, I can get through him and knock him into Mike Hart. In my mind, in the split second that I'm running full speed, I'm like, that's what I'm doing. So I go for it, man, and I blast him. And obviously Mike still runs for 20 more yards. but like, it felt so good to do that. Though, like, cause he was like,
the stadium just after they see you go and crush a 325, and he's good. I mean, I played with him in San Francisco, and I reminded him about that a bunch of times. Remember when Nate blasted you? He's like, oh yeah, the guys don't forget that. When you get blasted, you don't forget it.
Yeah, so
especially when you're a big old lineman, you're thinking, oh, this DB's gonna cut me or
yeah.
something. Like, he's not gonna take it up top, and he took it up top and killed him. And I was like, holy God. Yeah, that was kind of the launching point into 05. Like, I mean, 05, like, we come back, and I still to this day say that was 05 is the most talented team I played with by far.
Anything that was Ted's coming out party too. Those like that last second that season and that game.
Well, and San Antonio in 04, like San Antonio destroyed Marlon Jackson. And I told him about that every single time I saw him at Old School. Yeah. Man, you're killing Marlon Jackson. Like, he used to laugh. San Antonio loved me because I was crazy. And I always like bring that up to him. But I love San Antonio. I was like, man, you just destroyed Marlon Jackson on first round. You just destroyed him. You know, and like I loved San Antonio, man. He was like my favorite. But so 05, like, we're predicted to like win it all. I mean, that was like the year. I know I'm not gonna I get it. It sucks because that was my year. Because like 06, like we ran the table and then we lost to Florida. But like our 05 team would have killed our 06. Yeah, our defense in 05 was so much better than in 06. And I can say that because I have eyes. You know, I know you say, well, I can't say anything bad about the offense. But like, well, I have eyes. Like, I have eyes in the brain. So it's like, you're just a lot nicer than I am, Nate. But our 05 defense with you, AJ, Schlegs, Bobby, Dante, awesome. Ashton, Tyler. Yeah. I mean, that was better. And even like, God rest his soul. Like, dude, Mike Kudla was really good. Even though he never played in the league. Like, Kud's like, he's one of those guys. I couldn't believe some of the guys that made it in the league, and then Kud's never played it down. I'm like, Kud's was like, he was hard to block. Like, I mean, I just judge guys based on how hard you are to block. And I know, like, in the NFL, guys get bigger and stronger or whatever. Yeah. It's like, like Elvis Dumerville played like 10 years. And I mean, Kudla's bigger than he was. Yeah. So, tell me a little bit. Let's go into, coming into that season, man, I was just like, God, we're so good. And then, like, we play Texas, which sucks. We kicked 5 field goals, which sucked. Vince Young is great, obviously, which sucks. And then we end up going out, and it's
Penn State.
I don't know. We lose Penn State. Like, Penn State, I tear my knee in the second quarter. Oh, man. So, it's one of those things where I'm just like, so we put John Conroy in, God bless his soul. And we put Boone in, and we lose that one. And then, so we're at 2 losses, like, like week 5. And it's like, so our dreams are dead because there's no playoffs. There's no Big Ten championship. There's no 4-team play. So it's like, back in those days, it was like, if you lost 1, you're out. Because, there's going to be 2 undefeated teams somewhere. So tell me a little bit about that. And then, it's kind of coming down the stretch, Michigan, and then Notre Dame. So take me to the Michigan game. We go up there, just, take it from there. What are your memories from the 05 Michigan game?
Yeah, the 05 Michigan, overall 05 season, man, for us, our class, we were 1 and 2 with Texas, the recruiting classes. So that game was so big to us, man. Like, we wanted that game so bad, but obviously we didn't pull that off. They were a great team, too. They ended up winning it all. So, if you lose to a team, that's what you hope for, at least. Like, at least y'all go win it all and look like, hey.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't lose the next 5 games.
Yeah. So that was good.
Feel like trash.
Yeah, but then, like, overall, man, that the Michigan game that year, so it was still redemption again. So it's like the year after we lost to Michigan at Michigan was, hey, we just lost to them. There's no way we're losing to them again. And then the next time was like, I remember that feeling I had the last time I stepped on this field. I'm never feeling that again. Like, and it's like, we're not losing this game too. And that was just the mentality we had. And then, Troy and, connects with Gonzo, and there's just so many great plays made in that game. And it was an awesome game. And it just it was a redemption, man. Like, it felt so good. I don't know who took this picture, but someone had a picture of me. Like, I think I was crying and screaming. I think I was pointing to the fan section where my parents were, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, came in town, and it just felt so good, man. It felt so good. And honestly, man, like, and then going into the last game, Notre Dame, man, I didn't play that well, man. And it was like a bitter moment for me almost. You know what I mean? I don't know if I was ready for it. You know, I didn't know if I was ready for it to be over. You know what I mean? For football, like the fun football that I love. I knew it was about. I knew it was about to become a business, and some people do well with that. But for me, like football is a game I would play for free. You know what I mean? If obviously you couldn't make millions of dollars doing it, but so for me, like understanding that it was about to go into a business for whatever reason, man, it just I don't know. I didn't balance it well in my mind, and you know, and then obviously I didn't play well that game. My mind was not all the way locked in like it normally would be. Like when we played Michigan, I saw Braylon. It's like I'm locked in. Like it's no way.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've ever had a bad Michigan game or a bad Penn State game. Like those games where I knew that people were coming at us is like But that day, man, I felt weird a little bit, man. And I know coaches could probably see it, and I still beat myself up about that game. Like, man, I was trash that day. Like, even if it looked decent, like I didn't feel it that day. It didn't feel like I didn't feel like I went out on the note that I wanted to, man, on the last game. But we beat Michigan, though. I played well that game. We played well that game. We had a great day, man, in the big house, and we redeemed ourselves, man. And that was kind of the last game of the season in my eyes, especially with us not going to the national championship. I think that last game Notre Dame, and I didn't bring it, man. My head wasn't all the way there, man. There was a lot of emotions, man, and like I don't know. I think thinking about family stuff too, and thinking like you're about to make this money, and thinking about a lot of stuff in your mind. I don't know if I was mentally ready. Like nobody I knew or that I was like extremely close to outside of who I played with at O State. Nobody like that I knew had experienced something like that. So I didn't have anybody kind of walk me through that, or I didn't have the courage to reach out for someone to help me through that phase, and I wasn't ready. I would say that. So I look back at it now, I wasn't as ready as I would have liked to be. Yeah,
that's crazy because like I never even like think about if we win, like it's just like deleted. Like after that, it's like I know like if we win and I don't play good, but like I just kind of just. It's interesting you keep that such a vivid memory of not being ready because like you can bring that Notre Dame game up to anybody and they're like, man, that was the greatest game ever. Like you guys kill them, and Charlie Weiss is cocky and Brady Quinn and AJ's banging his sister and all that. It's like the storylines are like hilarious. It was
crazy.
Like one of those things where I used to laugh because I was like, I hated Notre Dame. I hated Notre Dame. But it's like, you know, it is. This is because I know this is going to be real. I know this is going to be. How big of a relief is it to win your last Michigan game?
Man, it's the best feeling ever, man. like I said,
they never get a shot at you again. You never play again. You know?
It's like playing your boys, like, you know, you playing your boys in video games or whatever growing up, and like you win the last game, but you got to dip. Like you got to go and like, all right, I'll see you, man. He wants to play you again so badly, he'll never get another chance.
Never get another chance.
Like that's the feeling, man. It's like, all right, I'm dropping my controller and I'm out. Like, better luck next time.
Yeah, because it's like in football, man. You know, people can play like a pickup basketball game, but like football is football. Like you don't go out and play 11-on-11 football ever again. When it's done, it's gone. Like it's, you know, I mean, you go play in the park in some of these little bullcrap leagues, but it's like you're not. You know, once it's done, it's done. Like you know, basketball players once they're done at Ohio State, they can go play in a pickup game at the YMCA or whatever. But
that is a good.
Football's done. Like I mean, you know, you're not going to practice and getting it all sorted out. And it's just not the same. So tell me a little bit, you know, so you're with the Panthers, you know, you did about 4 years, and tell me how that was. Like, I mean, you know, it's interesting, you know, because draft day is anxiety. You don't know where you're going to go. You landed in a good city, which is good. Like, you weren't in, like, Green Bay. So it's like, you know, you're in, like, a good city. Because obviously it's a good city. You're still living there. Tell me a little bit about your NFL experience.
It was awesome, man. It was, you know, you work so hard your whole life, and you had those dreams of making it to the NFL. And, you know, for me, my dream of going to the NFL, I've always had it since a kid, but I had a coach in high school when I was getting ready to quit football and just play basketball, going into my sophomore year. And he told me, he said, Nate, I don't know if you know this, but like a lot of coaches are saying you remind them of Michael Irvin and, you know, guys like Bobby Brown, Darryl Porter, who had been through my high school and made it to the NFL. He's like, they're saying you remind them of them, like, you might have a shot. And for whatever reason at that point, man, it basically was him saying, man, I believe in you. And that's when it became real to me. And then, you know, obviously going to Ohio State, and then I'm starting along Will Allen. Will Allen gets drafted, and other guys you see get drafted. It's like, man, I feel like I'm kind of along the same lines. Like, I think I can make it. You know, you feel like you have a shot. It's that dream becomes, you know, more and more real. And, you know, to get that call on you know, 4th round, 121st pick, and I'll never forget. It was like a dream come true, man. Like, you work your whole life, you bust your butt and sacrifice a lot, you know, to make it, and to get that call, and, you know, to understand, all right, I'm going to Carolina. I got Chris Gamble who's already there. Drew Carter was already there.
Huge.
Gamble went to my rival high school, and they're Dillard Panthers, right?
Dillard.
They were like our Michigan. We always butted heads.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you a Panther now. Like, the moment I got drafted, he was like the first person that called me. This is so cool, man. And I ended up, another guy got drafted that I went to middle school with, Stanley McGlover. He was an Auburn guy. He got drafted in the 6th, 7th round. And so all of us from Fort Lauderdale and Ohio State are on this team. It was like 4 guys from Fort Lauderdale, 3 or 4 of us from Ohio State. It was just so cool, man. And then, you know, I get cut at the end of the camp, my rookie year. I'm the 4th round draft pick. I'm number 2 on the depth chart. And I get cut, and they say it's a numbers thing because there's another guy they brought in just strictly for special teams who was injured the whole preseason, and he made the team over me. And then I get picked back up after the 2nd game of the season, and I'm on the regular roster the rest of the year. And then going into my 2nd year, I'm a starter. So I'm excited. Like, I'm feeling like it's almost like a pattern. Like, everywhere I go, like high school, freshman year, I played freshman ball. Sophomore year, I'm a starter. Ohio State, freshman year, special teams. 2nd year, I'm a starter. Panthers, first year, I'm you know, practice squad. And next year, I'm starting. But then in camp, man, I get hurt. I get hurt in camp. Kept trying to rush back. Ended up missing the entire season. I told my PCL, didn't even know what that was. Kept rushing back. Missed that entire season. Came back my 3rd year. I played. I still wasn't 100%, but was mainly a backup on at safety, and then played a ton of special teams and made a good name for myself there. Then going into my 4th year, I felt great. I felt my body was back, and I get hurt again in camp and missed the entire season, get cut while I'm injured. And basically, that was the last time I played football in the NFL, man. Never could have saw it coming like that. And I tried to play in the UFL, which I don't know if you remember. They had a team down in Florida.
You play with Schlegel?
I was with Schlegel, on that same team. So
the Tuskers.
Yeah, the Tuskers, baby. So I was still trying to give me one more go. I was able to finally get healthy, find out what's going on with my knee. And I went down there, man, and like I was starting to get more and more playing time. Things were going well. And I get to the 2nd to last game of the season, and all along I've been having issues with my right knee, and I tore my meniscus in my left knee in that game. And I just, you know, I've been rehabbing. At that point, it was going to make like 3 out of the last 4 years, and I hadn't been able to put good film out there. I said, man, you know, I'm done. Like, I've given everything I can. I've given, the fact that I even stepped back on the football field was like a major accomplishment for me because no one knew what was going on with my knee. I'm like, I was grateful to do that. And I thank y'all for this opportunity, but it was one of the toughest days of my life, man, where I had to like literally come to grips with the fact that I was done. And it was challenging, man. So I went from there, man, and my initial thing I wanted to do was get into player development because I'm huge on being, man. Like, even as a leader on a team, or I really want to help develop men that step away from this locker room better, more prepared for life than they did when they came here. And so I wanted to get into player development, but there's no set way of getting into that. It's just who you know, timing and all that. And after a while, you know, I was like, I need to get a job. I need to get to work. I got to keep myself busy and productive. And I found a career in corporate recruiting. My wife doing some lady's hair, and came home. I think she was tired of me moping around and being sad. And she's like, babe, I know this lady who does this, and I think you could be good at it. And it involved being team-oriented, goal-oriented, you know, competitive, all that stuff. So I said, hey, I'll give this a shot. And I've been in it for 9 years now. And then, you know, 2.5 years ago, I began my coaching and consulting business called Audible Coaching and Consulting. So I was sitting in a lady's office at work, man, and on her wall it said, for the field of ball coach and for life, a life coach. And for whatever reason, man, like just like the feeling I got when I went to Ohio State, it just felt right. And I immediately started grilling her like, hey, what's that all about? And she was telling me about what life coaching was and what she was doing to make a difference in people's lives. And I said, I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I feel like God has allowed me to have my journey and have a fairly smooth transition from playing ball to getting into the real world, so I can help others do the same. Like, it would have been so much more helpful to have somebody who's been there and done that when I was going through my transition to help me like go through it. So I can be that guy for guys when they're going through it. So it initially began because of that, but then I started to look at my overall journey and realize I don't want to just put myself into this bucket for athletes. Like, I feel like my journey really speaks into the lives of students, athletes, and professionals, you know, based on where I've been as a student athlete and obviously in corporate America, where I've been promoted and seen, you know, a lot of success there as well. So that's what I focus on, man. Audible Coaching and Consulting now, it focuses on helping students, athletes, and professionals live more purpose-filled lives, man, all through motivational speaking, mentorship, and through life coaching, man. And I'm working right now to make it what I do for a living, man. That's my goal. I really believe I've identified my sweet spot and my purpose and that thing that gets me going, just like when I spoke about camp earlier, man, and that gives me the butterflies and like puts me out there and that I'm not afraid to look like a fool doing. Like, I don't care. Like, I feel like this is what I was put on this earth to do, and I'm going to do it. So that's what it's all about, man. And then last piece on this is the name Audible. Obviously, I'm a safety, so I'm a safety guy. You know, we have
defense.
Yeah, got to make adjustments to better position yourself for victory on that play. So my motto is, or our motto is, repositioning lives to fulfill potential. So I want to help people make whatever adjustments they need in their lives to make, you know, to position themselves for victory in life. And then also Audible is a dual meaning. It's all about being heard, right? So, you know, I always encourage people, hey, dream out loud. Like, have somebody, whether it's me or somebody else or just an accountability partner, someone that can help to hold you accountable and someone that you're sharing your dreams and your goals with, because there's millions of graveyards with ideas that could have changed the world, man, but people were afraid to share them or to actually pursue them and put them into action. So that's what I want to do, man. And I lose sleep at night because there are so many of us that don't even understand what our purpose in life is, and we're just wandering through life, man, like zombies. Like, get up, go to work. Get up, go to work. Like, that's not what life's about, man. And I lose sleep over that. So I want to help people, you know, fill that gap in between where they are and where they know they can be and where they desire to be in life. And that's kind of my goal and my why behind what I do.
Dude, you're the man. Give me your site one more time.
All right, so it's audiblecoachingandconsulting.com. So
got it.
Yeah, so it's just like it sounds. Audible Coaching and Consulting. It's not an and sign, it's A-N-D. audiblecoachingandconsulting.com. So yeah, man, that's my website. Go check it out. And if you ever know of anyone that, you know, needs someone to speak, you know, some inspirational speaking for a group, or anyone who in their life right now is feeling like there's a gap between where they are and where they desire to be, like, I'll be more than happy to, you know, to be a resource for them, to help them to fill that gap. There's nothing I find more fulfilling, man, than helping people, you know, bridge that gap. So I'd love to do so if someone, yeah, man.
I mean, dude, you're one of the best humans I've ever met, one of the best people I've ever met. So happy for you. Really appreciate it. I mean, you've always been like the real deal. Like, there's some guys at front and whatever, but you've always been awesome. Like, from the day I met you, you've always been a guy that's like, Troy would say you'd be a captain when he just met you, and just how you carry yourself, your mentality. Dude, you're just a different bird, man. You're awesome. So I really, really appreciate you being on the Scoop World Order. Hope to have you back again.
Yeah,
soon.
man.
You know, as we have football talk and whatever, like, I'd love to have you back on, mate. You're the best.
Yeah, man. Lock me in, man. You already know, man. I'm here, man. It's the brotherhood, man. We're here for you. Hey.
Lauderdale all day, baby. Lauderdale.
You already know.
You did it before it was cool. I mean, hell, now everyone's from Aquinas.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
we had to let y'all know. We had to let y'all know we were coming, man.
You're started the whole path, man. So, well, I really appreciate you, brother. You're awesome. You look great. So happy to see you. You're a friend of the Scoop, man. So you're going to be getting some business from us, and I can't wait to have you back on the Scoop World Order.
Perfect, man. Proud of you. Proud of everything you're doing, man. This is awesome, and you know, I'll be more than happy to be back, man. For sure.
You're the best, man. Lauderdale. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, my friend.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.